Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Seamus, Brady, your host, and in this video I'm going to talk about the All-Ireland semi-final which took place on the Saturday. It was the first semi-final of two. I've already spoken about the Dublin-Cork one. Now I'm going to speak about Kerry's victory over Mayo by 116 to 111 in Semple Stadium. An absolutely outstanding performance by Louise Hertig, scoring 1 goal and 10 points, 1-6 from play. That was absolutely crucial in leading Kerry to the victory. She is an absolutely fantastic player. You could argue the best in the country. Kerry returned to the final for the second year in a row. This time they will face off against Dublin, not Meath. This was especially significant that Louise Hertig was at their best because Kerry were missing captain Shifra O'Shea through injury. Mayo lost the game though. They only really have themselves to blame. Kerry put together a devastating 9-minute spell where they hit 1 goal and 7 points without reply. And that's something that, if you look throughout their year, it's something that they've tended to do. They hit Dublin early in the first half, hung on for victory in Parnell Park. They hit Meath early in the first half, hung on for victory in the second half. The first half actually tends to be where Kerry do their damage. And that 9-minute spell was devastating. The goal came in the 18th minute from Louise herself. They absolutely strangled Mayo's kickouts. Mayo could not get the ball out for love nor money. Kerry led at halftime by 9 points. In the second half, Mayo started a lot better. They pushed up themselves, and a goal from Deirdre Doherty at the midpoint gave them hope. But Louise and Kerry stayed strong, and they get back into the All-Ireland final for the second year in a row. As I said, this time coming up against Dublin versus coming up against Meath. Kerry, are they better than they are last year? They look hungry. There's no doubt about it. And I think that they actually will fancy themselves more against Dublin in this game than they will against Cork, because for some reason, Cork have seemed to have their number. I don't know if it's a rivalry thing, a Munster rivalry, that Cork up their game for Kerry. But Cork beat them in the Munster final and have beaten them over the last few years. So for Kerry, they already this year have beaten Dublin, and they beat them in Parnell Park. So they'll be very confident that they can beat them again. Look, I don't think they fear Cork necessarily, but there's that saying that styles make fights, and maybe Cork just play a way that is very hard for Kerry to beat. Whereas Dublin, they've already beaten them this year. And Dublin will be wise to Kerry's fast starts this time. So Kerry will have to do their homework on what Dublin did well, because Dublin put 219 on Cork. So Dublin are in tip-top form as well this season. For Mayo, it's a disappointing end to the year, beaten by 5 points. As I said, you cannot concede 1-7 on the bounce and expect to win the game. Like, Mayo have done that a few times now over the last couple of years, where they've let teams absolutely rip them apart for about 10 minutes, and then they try and pull it back. It's like they lack a bit of game management, or they lack a bit of just defensive solidity, that when all of a sudden, when a team seems to get the run on them, they seem to rack up huge scores in such a short period of time. And you wonder then how for the rest of the game, if you take out that 9-minute spell, Kerry only scored 7 points in the rest of the game. You're thinking, what was going on for, no, say 9 points in the rest of the game Kerry got. But you think of what is going on for the rest of the game. Why can't Mayo do what they have been doing for the rest of the game in that period? And I know that you're going to have periods where teams get the run on you. But at the same time, why do they not put the hand up and say, listen, we're on the ropes here, we're going to slow the game down, we're going to hand pass it around? Because this isn't the first time that Mayo have done this, and it's no surprise to me that it has effectively cost them their championship status for this season, that it has knocked them out. Because for the rest of the game, there were long periods where Mayo were on top. In the second half, Deirdre Doherty's goal, they were really on top at that stage. They made mistakes, and that period, that 9-minute period where they got 1-7 scored on them without reply, like, that's nearly a score a minute. So that type of collapse just is unacceptable for Mayo going forward. And they have to make sure that it does not happen again, especially if they want to win an All-Ireland title. For Kerry, back in the final once again. And if you've joined us late, here is the 60-second recap here on the channel. So Kerry are back in the All-Ireland final for the second year in a row after beating Mayo by 116 to 111 in Semple Stadium. Louise Hertig was outstanding in this game. A goal and 10 from her, 1-6 from play. Her goal came in the 18th minute in a spell where Kerry hit 1 goal and 7 points without reply in the space of 9 minutes. That was a disastrous spell for Mayo, and you can say they lost the game in that spell. In the second half, they pulled back into it. Deirdre Doherty hit a goal at the midpoint to give them hope, but Louise and Kerry stayed strong. Louise kept tapping over the scores to push Kerry back into the All-Ireland final once again. Captain Sheaf Roche was injured. Hopefully she's back for the final for Kerry. But yeah, a fantastic victory for Kerry and back in the All-Ireland final where they will play Dublin this time. Sound familiar? Anyway, guys, that is the recap here on Cluiche. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. And until the next one, guys, take care.